But before we get there, we have to acknowledge at the top of the show, gang, heaven just got a new muncher. Its name, Rush
Me, you
Limbaugh.
at the crossroads, see you at the crossroads.
This is like, I don't want to delve into conspiracy, but like a perfectly healthy 70-year-old man like that doesn't just die.
A perfectly healthy 70-year-old man who's been deep-throating Havanas for the past 56 years.
Yeah. Rush Limbaugh, unfortunately, and I take no pleasure saying this, I myself am a constitutional conservative. He had a very weak seed and left no descendants. There is no claimant to House Limbaugh. No bastards, no legitimate heirs, no daughters.
Yeah, all of those golf clubs that he got from like different pedophiles are all just gonna rust in a fucking attic somewhere. It is amazing. Like this guy, family values conservative, married 700 times, never had kids. Like you can't get a more obvious example of these people just like knowing what you dumbasses think is important and pressing the buttons, mashing the buttons on your brain so that you cough out gold coins so that you can build a disgusting giant mansion.
Louis Farrakhan, who's the real avatar of family values in America. Louis Farrakhan not only has 9 children, 9 strong seed. His mansion is across the street from 2 of his sons' mansions, and they all of them have pet tigers.
Like the Krasensteins, how the Krasensteins live like 2
family
houses
values
down from each other.
Rush Limbaugh literally doesn't know shit about family values.
That's like
now he doesn't know shit about anything because he's fucking dead.
Yeah, Louis Farrakhan also a better broadcaster.
Absolutely. And by the way, I don't want this to go unsaid, especially you could say it now that he's dead. He was a fucking pedophile sex trafficker who got caught with a duffel bag full of Viagra going to the Dominican Republic. Disgusting. And he is as much of a disgusting satyr as any Hollywood freak that conservatives are horrified by.
Yeah, because they're the same person. They're all the same fucking people.
They're rich.
Yeah.
Rich people do that shit. Whatever bullshit they're telling you about their politics, that's what rich people do.
Yeah, he's just kind of the Florida guy version of the Hollywood guys. You know, I always imagine him with like several buttons undone in, you know, a tropical shirt and at like the Jimmy Buffett restaurant or something. You know, it's just like the Florida version of Hollywood.
And the funny thing I've seen about his death are the like Groyper people who are like base nationalists, like getting mad at libs making fun of him. And it's like, no, that's you're just your dad. You're not a base nationalist.
Yeah.
Like he was literally like a fat Zionist who supported NAFTA and the
He
Iraq
supported
War.
whatever the Republican Party at the time cared about. Like the idea, and that I think that's important to remember is like everybody who gets any power influence in politics, both at the media level, at the high level of like a Limbaugh, and also political figures themselves, they don't do it by like grabbing the sinews of the earth and moving them in their direction. They get it by seeing where the fucking winds are going and then tacking their sails that way. And he is a perfect example of that. Pure cynicism. That's what powers all these people.
Yeah, I want to get into that and a little bit about his legacy, which is certainly a real thing. I mean, he's probably done more to. I know he was tacking with the winds of the Republican Party, but like, I mean, him and Donald Trump are like the same person. Like, there probably wouldn't have been a Donald Trump without.
Oh
Rush
no,
Limbaugh.
That's a relay race there.
And you know, he did more than anyone probably to make, you know, politics into entertainment. So on that regard, I doff my cap to him because, you know, we're both part of the same hypocrisy, Senator.
Absolutely.
But I want to note though, like you know, when a bad person dies, you know, I mean, there is a tendency among, you know, even people I like to get in their takes, you know, to get some burns in on the corpse of a dead person, you know, while their family, I mean, certainly not their children because he never had any, but, you know, while people are mourning the loss of a human being. And I just said, like, you know, as a standard, when a human being dies, like, you should probably, if you have bad thoughts about them or want to critique their, you know, the way they live their life, you should maybe save it for a couple days. In this case, Rush Limbaugh is not a human being. He's a pig. He's a pig man. Like, he is not a, I mean, how shall I put this? He is not a man, but a pig. His death is no different than a hog being slaughtered, choking out its last breath, choking, you know, in its own filth. that Rush Limbaugh.
Except no one gets to eat a delicious sandwich of his corpse.
He's
even more pointless.
I would love a cold Rush sandwich. I have to say, it's the marbling. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
He was a pig man. I mean, this guy is someone who is identical to Donald Trump in that, like, he never learned a single thing in his life outside something. The only thing he ever learned was what, like, another giant rich ham man told him on a golf course. He never loved another human being or even a pet for even a second of his worthless, miserable life. And I mean, the idea is like, and then also like you're not supposed to speak ill of the dead. If you could make tens of millions of dollars, probably even hundreds of millions of dollars, spending every day of your life just farting your hatred for other people onto the airwaves for the hooting, barking seals that make up your fucking listeners, just venting your fucking hatred for, like, liberals, black people, gay people, women, run down the list, openly shitting on other people when they die, saying it's good that they're dead. In exchange for that, when you die, people might do the same to you. And who wouldn't take that fucking deal? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, if I die tomorrow, like, I don't want to see anyone fucking being like, oh, like, if I die tomorrow and no one is talking shit about me, then I will feel like I would feel like a failure if I knew.
Yeah,
but
you aren't worth it. You
know. So, and like, it's just this need that, like, oh, like. We should allow him to pass into nothingness without noting, like, the way he led his life is just it's a farce to me. Fuck him. He's in hell right now, and he's exactly where he deserves to be. The world is better for him fucking not being here. But unfortunately, his effect on it is not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to give everybody permission to enjoy this because, like, my mom has lung cancer right now. And I still think it's really fucking funny that he died of lung cancer because it's Rush Limbaugh. You know, my mom didn't dedicate her life to, going on the radio and spewing hatred about everybody. So yeah, it's different. It does in fact hit different.
And also, he choked out his last breath, denying that there was any connection between smoking tobacco and lung cancer as well. He's, denying that global warming was real. I mean, yeah, like it's just like as he was dying, like he died exactly how he lived. Like, I mean, you could say he's lying, but I mean, shit, like he probably believes it, or at least enough to say it. So, I mean, who cares what he really thinks about it or not?
I don't think he believed a lot of what he said. I mean, that's
he didn't believe anything.
In a lot of the eulogies, people were like, "Oh, well, he was just a showman," and it's like, doesn't that make him shittier?
Yes.
Yeah. Doesn't that make him like a way worse guy?
Well, the thing is, it's like they're trying to appeal to your like American instinctive respect for like Barnum-esque con artists. Because that is the only American type that like truly does have a respect that transcends partisanship. All Americans respect somebody who gets one over on people, and
that's true.
You can only get so many people to respect Rush on his death for his ideology, because that's going to be limited to people who shared it. But you can get past that if you say, give him credit. He knew how to work you rubes into a lather. And that is the only thing we respect. That is the only real American value. And the thing is, those people are right. He was a fucking like drive time radio guy. Like, if things had gone differently, if he had not, if the politics of America wasn't the way it was and he wasn't there to notice the chance and go for it, he would have been a guy like talking to a stripper as she like tried to recite the alphabet on a Sibian or something. Like, he was that guy. He was just a fucking, he was just a radio guy. He was like, what do these idiots want to hear? And around the early 90s, it became very clear that what they wanted to hear was their grievances reflected to them. And so he started doing it.
And similar to Trump, like what he gave people and like, why he had such a loyalty among his listenership. I think what he gave people was, like the voice of the angry man that's standing up for them and is not afraid to say the things that get them in trouble, like, with their coworkers, their family, with broader polite society. But it's also like giving people the, permission to be as much of a selfish prick as possible, like to be as mean to other people as possible, to be as cruel to like any group you don't like as possible. And like, look, that's his right. I hate a lot of people and share my views on them such a subject over a broadcast medium. So, but like, here's the thing. I think the best remembrance of Rush Limbaugh from the right was Rich Lowry of the National Review, an absolute pencil neck geek who could not be further from the fucking like, like angry guy in the car, Rush listener that you could possibly be. But he said, like, look, what liberals who never actually listened to Rush Limbaugh and only read transcripts of the horrible things he said on his show through, Media Matters or whatever, what they don't understand or what they can't grasp is just how funny Rush was. And just how the word I keep hearing over and over again in these remembrances of Rush Limbaugh from people like Rich Lowry is like, he was a hoot. And like that to me gives up the whole game, because like there was no one there was never anyone who was less funny or witty than Rush Limbaugh. But they all right. If you are if you are a right winger, if you're a conservative and you listen to Rush, that is funny. Like that is humor to you. Like when he describes like literally any accomplished black person in this country as a thug, or like any woman who disagrees with him is like an ugly pig, or just like celebrates gay people dying of AIDS, like AIDS. That's humor to them. Like that's funny. That's what they think is comedy.
And the proof that it is limited and that it's not just funny, that it's only funny to these nasty slugs, is that when he was at his zenith of popularity and he was sort of a political king of all media, they tried to give him his own show. I don't know if anyone remembers this fucking thing. Yeah, they gave him a TV show, a late night show where he did a monologue to an audience and he did desk pieces and interviewed guests, and it ate shit. Like the non-ideological public who is supposed to watch stuff like Leno watched this man is like, who is this repulsive fat turd? And just were like, get it off of my television immediately. And then he also tried to do commentary for Monday for fucking
ESPN.
football.
ESPN hired him to do Monday Night Football.
As soon as he was outside of the ghetto of conservative media, normal people were like, this guy is disgusting. Who let this man into this fucking into the room to do this? And that's like, he was a guy who had limited talent, and what it was to recognize the exact audience of culturally impoverished hogs who he could essentially mimic. And that was his quote-unquote talent, which in America was enough to make him a multimillionaire.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak with authority on this because, 5 years ago or whatever, I worked at Media Matters, and so I had to listen to that fucking shit like almost every day. And the idea that it was funny, I mean, it was at least more of a show than other right-wing radio shows, like compared to listening to Mark Levin, which was like, it's just nothing. But seriously, wonder if my file had like crapped out in the middle of listening to it, because there would be like a 10-second gap, because he was getting himself like worked up about the Constitution, and he just like couldn't even get the words out, but like at least Rush like kind of knew what he was doing. But the idea that it was funny in any way is complete bullshit. Like they would have like these little like sort of almost conservative Weird Al parody songs on in like the ad breaks, because like I guess they couldn't play the ads on the radio station that we were listening to or whatever, so he would just play these like little like Obama parody songs that were like, haha, Obama's in the jungle kind of stuff. And it was just like not even close to a laugh escaping my lips there.
Yeah, Mark Levin's show is it's good. I've listened to it. I've watched him when he's filling in for people on Fox. It's like a substitute teacher trying a lower dose of a medication.
Your totalitarian mindset.
Yeah. Good show.
And the thing is, like, but like, like everyone else, I mean, I guess that was his sort of unique thing, is that literally everyone else on the right in broadcast or journalism or whatever is just like Mark Levin, with just like not even a shred of showmanship, charisma, or anything. And what Rush offered was, like he was an entertainer, like he was a conservative entertainer. And I think with Trump was the guy who bridged the gap between now, like you can just be a politician and just be purely an entertainer and not a politician at all.
It still blows my mind that that Mike Pence got his start. Like after he tried to run for Congress and he failed, but then after that he got his introduction to Indiana politics that led him to become governor as a fucking talk radio guy. He was Indiana's version of Rush Limbaugh. Just imagine that. Imagine the competition. Like, of course he ended up romping because he was like Manute Bol playing with a bunch of fucking 4-year-olds. Like the regional versions of him, like the regional aggrievement monger conservative radio guys were dudes like fucking Mike Pence, just like the liberal loony left is at it again, folks. Or guys with
no energy.
There was one dude I remember who got in trouble in 2008 because he was at a rally for McCain and he kept saying Barack Hussein Obama, and they had to like denounce him which is hilarious thinking of how far we've gone since then. And I remember just like being baffled, like who would listen to this man's voice? It was like he was having his dick put into a fucking chip clip every time he talked. Like, it's like Rush Limbaugh, sonorous, beautiful radio voice, able to like just evince some sort of human affect and charisma, made him better than everybody trying to do that in the rest of the country.
Well, this is what makes Ben Shapiro so baffling, because he has the worst voice of anybody that I've ever heard. Like, he sounds like a cartoon squirrel or something.
They all sound like that. Like Mark Levin sounds like that.
Well, that and Master Shake, of course.
Yeah, I like. I mean, Rush Limbaugh's brother is one of those guys. Rush Limbaugh's brother is one of the low energy Rush Limbaughs.
Yeah,
David Limbaugh.
David Limbaugh.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like what Rush had was like a conservative version of swag, which was just like the barest amount of like jocularity mixed with like a sort of like, I'm not afraid to say that, you know, black people are lazy and that gay people deserve to die of AIDS. You know, like and like that's what he had. And you know, like you mentioned it earlier, Matt, but you can't libel the dead, but I'm still quite gun shy about it. So I'll just say, when you are arrested or detained coming back from the Dominican Republic with a handful of Viagra pills that you don't have a prescription for, visiting a country that is, shall we say, known for the underage sex trade among wealthy American and European tourists, certain questions are going to get asked. I'll note again, Rush Limbaugh abused so many fucking Vicodin that he made himself deaf through it. And this is after spending an entire career demanding that like any drug addict or anyone who buys, sells, or uses drugs is like a degenerate who should be put in jail or exterminated. He made himself deaf through prescription painkiller abuse.
He also blamed that on his housekeeper. Like she was like dusting the fucking chifforobe and just like, hey, you want some? Would you like some Oxycontin? And he's like, the peer pressure was too much. I just had to say yes.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he was really good at radio because he just had to shout the whole time.
That picture of him wearing one of those turtlenecks that just like pajamas, like just like pajamas for like a fat 63-year-old who just like his job is eating club sandwiches with the really huge cigar, the one I just posted. That should be like the flag of half of America.
Yep, just a fat, awful, red-faced cretin sucking on a giant fucking cigar. Too big to smoke in one fucking sitting, which means you're putting it out over and over again and changing the fucking place. You're just doing it to signal whatever fucking like repressed sexuality you can't express, and also to just let everyone know that you're epic.
Yeah, a lot of guys who think they're Tony Soprano are actually just Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
And like Ben Shapiro and those Daily Wire dorks, like they copy Rush in that sense too, because every time like they're just like, hey, hang out, riff session with the Daily Wire boys, they're always sucking on fucking cigars. Because they're like, because like I don't think they probably don't even like doing it. Because I mean, who the fuck does actually like smoking cigars? No one.
Cigars suck.
No one. And it's just like they do it because like for them, like for instance, like the exact same way Rush Limbaugh was comedy to them, like his presentation of like, I am a fucking hog who has just like given myself a disability through my gluttonous abuse of food, nicotine, and fucking painkillers. But like actually I'm a cool tough guy and a rebel because I'm chomping on this cigar. Like it's the one affectation they allow themselves that's like a nod to like, I'm a cool rebel. I'm a badass. Like I'm a tough guy. I'm not just like some fucking pussy who's been carrying a fucking briefcase to school since he was 10 years old. Like, you know, I'm a badass sort of like, you know, I play by my own rules, and you can tell that because I have this fucking big brown thing in my mouth.
That's how you end up with Benny Johnson putting pipe tobacco in his bio or whatever. It's just like signaling like, I am not a pussy. I'm actually a very, very scary man.
Yeah, because
no, you're not.
If I remember correctly, Felix, you were in New Hampshire in 2016 covering the primary then, and he was not smoking pipe tobacco. If I recall correctly, he had a little pouch full of candy that he was eating out of.
Yeah, and he dropped. You could tell where Benny had been in the room because there was like a trail of wrappers and candy. It was like a children's detective game. Where is Benny?
Encyclopedia Brown Eye.
And like the thing is though, like, he may be dead, but we're going to be living with his legacy for the rest of our lives because, like, like he probably more than any single person was just like the avatar of like where the conservative movement was headed and where it's still going. And like I said, like him and Donald Trump are like the perfect mirror image of each other. They might as well be the exact same person. But like Trump was the guy who got over in politics, like as an elected official, as the president, instead of Rush, just sort of goosing everyone in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of invented that whole owning the libs, model of politics and of like demagoguery or whatever. Just like, that's how you end up with the fucking gropers thinking that he's their dad. Like, it doesn't matter as long as you're owning the libs,
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, what more can you say about the death of a hog? It's just his body should be just pushed into one of those slurries in North Carolina that is just there for like industrial hog runoff.
Yeah.
He should be buried in a fucking tank of industrial sewage that is just a runoff from a slaughterhouse. That is just pig feces, because that's basically what was pumping through his veins throughout his entire life. Good riddance, eat shit, glad you're dead.